All right, good morning. You've all heard enough AI already, or so, what I'm here to do is talk to you a little bit about. You've heard a lot of people tell you about productivity with AI, and what you can do with it, and every individual task that AI can help you resolve. I am here to tell you what is possible with it. I'm here to encourage you to demand more from your vendors, demand more from your systems, because AI should really do a lot more than just provide incremental productivity improvements to a set of tasks that you're already doing today, right? That's what's the promise of AI. So let's talk a little bit about what that is, right? Oh, of course, a word from our lawyer. But then, here's the deal. Like every sales leader here essentially has made a promise. That promise is to your CFO, to your company, to deliver a number. There's a promise made to your customers to deliver an appropriate service, a product, a good relationship. That's the promise you've made. Now, the issue is that, and we all know this, anyone who's been in a management role, especially in sales, to keep your promise, you need a huge number of people to do their job really well. And you're hoping that they all have the right data, they are evaluating the information correctly. And it's asking a lot. And you guys know that that's the problem. It's not just a problem of, it's just a problem of scale. It's more than scale. It's actual skill as well, right? So let's take a look at what's happening today, right? In order to keep your promise, your relationship with your customers is throwing off a lot of signals. And sales is fundamentally about understanding signals and reacting to it appropriately and responding to it in the right way. That's what sales really is at the end of the day. You're responding to first-party signals as to what's happening in your relationship with your customers, what are they saying out in the market, how the market is responding to them. You're trying to get all this information and you're trying to synthesize it all and respond to the signal in the appropriate way. That's what they're doing. This is not easy. This is in multiple systems, and this is in, the truth is in various different places. And for the longest time, CRM systems, including us and everybody, this is not a diss on anyone, we've all tried to solve this problem by promising you the 360-degree view, right? I mean, and you guys have all been promised the 360 view for a long time, and hopefully you have some version of it in whatever app you're using, whether us or anyone else. And has that solved the problem? I mean, is the question you should ask yourself. I mean, has it crushed it? Great, problem solved. Everybody has the perfect data across everything, and they're able to respond. The issue is it's not the data. The issue is, what are you doing with it? What is it actually telling you? How is it contextualized for you? What must you do in the moment? And what I want to show you is how a system can actually do that for you. This is what AI should be doing, and if it does it, you'll see what it can do for you. You essentially want an AI that is always taking in the signals, it's contextualizing everything, it's essentially acting. Now, depending upon how far along the AI journey you either are in the moment where it is suggesting actions, or in the moment where it essentially is trying to do the actions for somebody, but it must bring action. It must not just bring information. Otherwise, you're just getting a very small incremental improvement for what is, in fact, a fairly large investment, right? So the way we think about it, and we'll show you this, our core philosophy is just this. There are a bunch of signals. Get every signal, bring it into context, combine it, make sense of it. Second, define what the action should be, perform the action, or if anything else, really put the action together for somebody to perform. And last, and very, very importantly, this must operate in your enterprise context. It needs to take into account the way you're organized, the way your customers are organized, the way your products are organized, who has access to what is the provenance of every action, who did it, why did it make sense to do it, what is the governance around it. All of this is foundational to this whole process. Without that, it's just ChatGPT on steroids, right? So it has to be a little bit more. It has to be a little bit more than that. So let's take a look. I want to show you this. I think you'll enjoy this. So, and I'm not here to not doing a deep technical demo. I want you to see an actual app, and I'll explain what I mean by this. So this is what an agentic sales experience looks like. This is the morning a sales rep logs into an agentic app. What it does is this. It's not giving him a laundry list of, he's not making choices. It has already looked at a bunch of stuff, and it's saying, go look at this North Star GridWorks deal. So this is in the Oracle context. So this is a total HR HCM replacement deal. But very importantly, why now? What should you do today? And the reason is because the CHRO has a confirmed budget. If you can read what it says over there, decision committee is meeting on Friday, and the time to act is now. And these are the other 2 deals which are coming up, and you should act on that this week. But if you look at line item number 3 under the Pine and Ledger, which is the retail group, it says that their holiday hiring has gone up by 18%. How? Because Reuters said so. So these are third-party signals that we are getting from the news, combining that with what your sales plays are, and that's contextualizing the signal. The seller did not read Reuters, AI did. And it essentially applied it and gave an action that you can go do something with it. Okay, let's keep going. Next. This guy has a bunch of opportunities, but when he's trying to provide an opportunity, he's not providing a status. It's providing a very specific set of guidance, as a matter of fact, immediately what they need to do. So it's telling you that this deal is growing in confidence, there's positive momentum, and this is not just guessing at stuff, it's based on actual signals in terms of the interactions that are happening. Also, what has happened in the relationship with the account, because of many reasons. It actually explains why as well, right? Keep going. You have a meeting coming up with Northern GridWorks, right? And traditional, and I mean, you walk down, you'll see everybody will say, oh, we help you prepare for meetings. Preparing for meetings is not reading a bunch of content and contextualizing it for the meeting. It's picking up the right signal and getting you to respond to it. So read what it's telling you. It's saying, confirm the workplace ROI assumptions. It's like lead with renewal timing for this reason, because their ERP is renewing in 94 days. So there is actually a monetary event coming up. You've got to lean into that. It's telling you re-engagement angle, how do you, something has happened with your proposal. It's using first-party signals to really guide the behavior and shape what they should say, not just inform them as to here is some good talking points which is putting together using AI. It's a lot more than that. If you look at accounts, right? It's like looking at accounts and saying, your customer accounts are these are the signals they are throwing out right now. There is a brief executive committee. The executive committee is meeting at Bluefield. You have to go brief them. There's a place where this company has gone and acquired somebody, is looking at these signals. So it says you must pitch consolidation now. It's very, very actionable, data-oriented, action-oriented stuff. This is not just, and AI the rep's not asking. The AI has already done the work. It's telling you what to do next, right? Here's an interesting one. It's looking at the programs running in the system. And it's saying that there are all these marketing programs running. This one's relevant to your territory. Few of your actual deals, your accounts have actually responded to this. So there is more that can happen, more pipeline that can be built over here. It's recognizing that. It's very powerful. Let's look into this a little bit more, right? You can keep going. If you actually get into an opportunity, what does an opportunity look like? An opportunity doesn't look like a bunch of fields and a thing that somebody's going to enter anymore. It's precisely what you need to do next for this particular deal. It's not just telling you what to do. It's actually strategizing. It's saying the executive 3-cycle renewal bundle is what you should anchor on. And here's the reasons why. It's telling you you must lead with a particular demo because their CIO saw that demo a couple of times. Or they've got a renewal coming up. The contract says something. It's very contextual, very action-oriented. It's very precise in the way it operates, right? Of course, there's insight. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we're pulling out, but these things are they're not just general bits of information that, we have a high engagement score with their CFO. An engagement score doesn't mean anything to anyone. I mean, like we can tell you have a high engagement score, but what does a rep take away from it? Not a whole lot. But if you can tell them precisely why, what is that signal, why is it relevant to this deal now? This CFO opened up your proposal regarding this and looked at it more than X number of times. That's a real contextualized signal. So bringing that home is really, really key. And finally, at the bottom, these are really the objectives of the, like this is your workflow, right? This is a structured sale, so there's a whole workflow below it. The rep simply does their work, the AI reads their work, and decides whether they have met the objective or not, and marks it and keeps going. There's no forms to fill here, right? Its system fills the forms up for you. I mean, that's the idea. So this is what you should be expecting, demanding your systems to go do now. This is what's possible. I mean, you can take it further, right? We're talking putting a code together. It knows enough to say, I've made a code for you, go read this. This is the proposal, this is the pricing, this is the configuration. You can edit it, you can go changes to it, but it's already started to put the structure of the deal together, take it forward. This is true action. You put this into motion, you're raising the level of just skill across your entire organization. It's like it's operating at another level. The system's doing a bunch of things and is driving the sale forward. But I want to show you something that really, I mean, where it's really going. And to do this, I'm going to switch the UI to dark mode because it's just cool. And look at what it's trying to do. You can actually now, this is actually an application, it's a demo of an app that we wrote. They want to build a territory plan, particularly at a territory level. And it said, build me a territory plan for my region, right? For my territory. Territory planning typically happens at very high levels in most places. And flowing that down into organizations and making sure everybody follows a plan is the harder problem. Planning is, in fact, the easier problem. Everybody has a plan. The question is, can you execute on the plan? So in order to make the plan, what the system has done is essentially it has read all this content out. It's deciding which set of capabilities to use. These are capabilities that are in the system. These are AI-first capabilities. It's saying, I can analyze open and close opportunities. I can look at renewal and churn risks. I can go look at your top white space performers. I can a whole bunch of other stuff and decide to go use this to make a plan. And it actually makes a plan. I mean, it opened up an existing plan because making a plan takes some time. So it says, OK, I'm going to go away and tell you, but actually makes a plan. It writes a bunch of plan documents out, and I'll show you a couple of those documents. Pretty cool. But this is the cool part. When it applied the plan, it said, I have identified in your territory, there are 3 classes of accounts. One, where there's an opportunity, they are ready to buy because the signals are very, very strong. You have relationships. Time to just create an opportunity and go here. Build your pipe. The middle, there are a bunch of accounts where there is interest, but there needs to be more engagement to really draw them out to make them opportunity. So we've got to run a program. Let's activate a program for these guys. Hit a button, activate the programs. The third one is we're not quite ready if they're sure if they're ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to start watching for signals. We're going to watch if they emit signals which will bring them into the pipeline, and it'll do it automatically. This is a real app. This is what territory planning should be, right? And this is the presentation it put together. So if you have to send it up to somebody to justify this, it actually puts a presentation together, right? It can actually put a document which lists every deal out. What are the different tiers? What are the various plays that matter? I'm showing you all this to essentially tell you that you need to look, if you are on the journey to adopt AI to really change the way you operate, this is the time. This is not an incremental change that's happening today. This is a paradigm shift. So I'm here to exhort all of you to demand more. Just the AI should do a lot more than just write an email, read some content and give you some nice summaries, give you like talking points, like read somebody's what's the best word to use in the moment. I mean, it's got to do a lot more than that, and that's the promise of what's possible. This is real. This is now. This is not in the future. What I want to do next is I want to bring up a few leaders from key sales organizations from some pretty well-known companies that you'll all know. And I want to ask them and have them share with you what are they going through as they're deploying AI. So I'd like to call on Donna, Matt, and Christian. All right. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. So you guys are all on the AI journey, right? At various places in it. I'll start with you, Donna.
Okay.
Rico, everybody knows Rico. You're transforming your company. You're becoming much more of a services company. You have everything. You have operations. You have hardware being shipped and like software going on top of it and services going. This is a complicated space, and AI is hopefully going to be helpful to you. But the transition can't be easy. How is it going? I mean, what are you seeing?
So it's a really good question. So I think in the enterprise space as a whole, right, even for Rico, the AI technology is there. We know AI technology is there. What we're seeing is that really where we have got to drive our focus is on the complexity underneath it all. So if you think about complexity, I'm talking about we have more systems, we have more tools, we have more data, we have more complicated data than we have before, right? And we even have more roles from a standpoint of sellers, et cetera, right?
Yep.
So if you look at that, that really starts to drive some operational friction. And so when we are looking at it, we're looking at it from a standpoint of, with all of those things, from a rep's lens and perspective, what it leads to is we have inconsistency in execution.
Yep.
Right? We have fragmented data.
Yep.
And what that leads to is manual work and activity where sellers really could be focused to what we want them to do is being with the client and solving the client's problems and the issues. So from our lens, look, we partner with Oracle. We're on our AI journey. We have the embedded AI tools within the platforms, and we are rolling those things out. But we also have to look at that operational standpoint, right? We have to start looking at how do we start to bring those systems together? How do we start to get better data quality? Sticking AI on top of things that aren't aligned that way, it's just going to put output out that sales reps are not going to necessarily trust or drive or believe in.
That's right.
So we're working on that journey of, hey, we've started AI. We're putting our toe in the water. We are giving them little things. But as we, in parallel, start to build out all those other underpinnings of those systems and the data, then we can believe that AI, through workflow, orchestration, and everything else, can really start to drive the output, just like what you were showing up here, right? You get that when you have all of that coming together. What does that do for sales? It allows them to be client-focused, doesn't have them focus on the manual activity, right? Feeds them what they need at the time that they need it. Let them do their job. Let them do what they're there to do, to sell and work with clients. So in all of that journey, the last thing that I'll say is the biggest part is adoption.
Yeah.
Right? I can throw it all out there, but if they don't trust the output of the information, then that adoption's not going to happen. So you have to have a good change management allocation on that. You need to be in constant communication with sales teams, the sales leaders, testing for understanding and making sure that they understand the output. So it's a journey. It's an exciting journey, but there's still work to be done.
Yeah, slightly scary. I'm sure there are lots of people like pushing back a little bit as well.
Right. Well, pushback, I think it's more of how do we get all the right information? How do you get that full life cycle view of the customer that allows you to see all the things that you need to and then really leverage AI from that standpoint?
All right, Matt, I'll go to you next. So Motorola pretty much sells to first responders, and you guys do mission critical systems. What's your AI journey about?
Well, when I think of our AI journey, I think of it really in three phases. If we look back 8 years ago, we had this beautiful tool called Oracle CPQ.
Yeah.
And but only about a third of the people were using it.
Right.
The other 2/3 they were using faxes. I don't know if we still use faxes, but faxes and phone calls and emails. So really phase one for us was really focusing on business process alignment and also getting adoption of our tool sets.
Yep.
Our sales CRM, even though we had a CRM, it was all of our forecasting was still done on spreadsheets. Our boardroom reports were done just all built manually using PowerPoint.
Yep.
And all of that was not a really good foundation for anything, but let alone AI. So when you think about 8 years ago, where we were with 33% adoption on CPQ, now we're at 99%. So we run a vast majority of our business on CPQ. 99% of every order that comes in from a seller through CPQ. And then from a sales enablement perspective, every single report, every single boardroom report, every single forecast comes out of a tool, right? So I think getting the business process foundation down first was, this is even before AI was really the hot topic.
Yep.
But that was really, if you look back, that was really a foundational step. Number two is about data.
Yep.
So we use the Oracle Customer Data Hub, Customer Master, to get really one source of truth for our customer. We implemented that in 2021. Then what we did is similar to what you were saying earlier about the Customer 360.
Yeah.
What you said really resonated with me. But it was also important to get all our data centralized. We called it our connected seller journey.
Yep.
So getting, now that we have one version of the customer, tying into that their subscriptions, their orders, even their cases, like getting all that information in one place and be able to give that to our sellers was very valuable, but it still left us a little wanting a little bit more, right?
Yep.
And within the data journey, I think the third thing was we use Oracle's Insight Engine. So we take that same data set and we also add it to other things like our product data. We add online behavioral data. So, are they visiting our .com? Are they visiting our e-commerce website?
Right.
And we use that within the Oracle Insights engine to tell us things like, what is the next best product for them to buy, right? What's the product propensity? Customers who bought this also bought that, right? So, that's kind of where we are today. That's like the phase two, and we're doing all those things. When I think of phase three, it's really taking those insights and putting them into action. Right. And it's very similar to what you're saying too, because, okay, cool, it's really cool to tell you that, maybe summarize this quote or summarize this opportunity or whatever, but it's not adding material value, right? And so for us, the third leg is really getting to action. So what you showed there really resonated with me, but we think of things like, today a lot of our sellers come in and they don't just do one quote. They'll do 2 or 3 or 4 different options, right? I mean,
right.
It's a very labor-intensive thing, but also, our sellers really know our customers, and we have great relationships with our customers. But also layering on the AI intelligence and recommending what the quotes should be, right? Yep. So quote A, B, and C, and not having to go and build those quotes, but actually going in and having AI having already built those quotes for you, right?
Yep.
And so that's where we're going. We're also doing some things today around agentic AI. Our entire proposal center is agentic, so allowing us. We've saved about 50% of our cycle time to respond to RFPs. But it's also just allowing us to drive more revenue and respond to our customers in a different, faster, better way. So
amazing.
Very excited about what's to come.
I mean, you're well along. I mean, which is more than can be said for a lot of. I mean, so that's actually pretty impressive.
Thank you.
What you've
done.
A
lot of work.
And then it's a lot of work, and that's the thing, right? You can't just slam on AI, which I think you can't just layer it on top of your reports and say, hey, I have a spreadsheet with forecasted it. Why don't I have AI explain it to me? it didn't change the fact that you're able to forecast it on a spreadsheet and like somebody got some insight. I mean, you need more than that, to your point.
You can't forget about the human change management aspect of all of this. It was
100%.
If you said it was the number one lesson learned, you can't forget about the people, and you have to speak with them. You have to still give them great experiences, make it easy to do their job.
Exactly.
So great.
Christian, I mean, Christian runs sales for Oracle North America. He runs all our North America solutions, and we're rolling out like all of this to everybody. 15. I mean, we do big bang. Like we piloted with 400 reps, and all 10,000 reps are gonna get it on like the new fiscal year in a couple of weeks. What's your take on this? Is it like what do you how do you feel about it, and what are you worried about? You know?
Yeah, so I think it's important to start with some context on the problem that we're solving at Oracle. I mean, we have a very, very diverse and complicated set of products that we bring to market. Right. International in nature, software, hardware, services, and even within software and hardware and services, there's many permutations as to kind of how we go to market. So that complicated nature of things is creating some complexity that we then need to figure out answers for. Now, I want to go back to what you talked about, which I think is the most relevant part of this, is the promise that we have with our customers.
Yep.
And so you've got this complicated business over here, and you've got an established agreement with your customers that you're going to bring value. There's a big gap between those two.
Yeah.
Right? The environment and the realities and the promise that you've made. And what we're seeing is that it's virtually impossible for a breathing human to be able to go out there and find that connective tissue that takes the customer promise and matches it with the complexity of your business. So you need to rely on technology to be able to do so.
Yep.
And what the customers are asking for now is really how we all need to be thinking about it. We all read books left to right. I would suggest we need to read them right to left. Get to the end game that the customer is asking for. And in the Oracle context, what they're asking for is, come to me as one Oracle. I understand you're complex. That sounds like a you problem.
Right.
How about you make it, easy for me to work with you? And so if you think about the hours in the day and the productivity expectations of our sellers, there needs to be a step change of technology and capability that's going to activate that. Whereas every seller, regardless of what part of the organization they belong to, has a unified perspective that maintains the promise of the customer. If you're not doing that, then you are broken.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is your problem becomes the customer problem, and then at that point you lose trust, and you lose acceleration, and you lose all of the things that we're driving to. So from my perspective, I think the fascinating part of this and what we're seeing with our sellers is the fact that they can come in on any one of those ingress points: software, hardware, services, US, international, subscription model, on-prem model. We got it all, trust me. And how they can come in and provide a unified view into that relationship so that the customer, even though they know that you're very, very diverse, you've upheld the promise. To me, that is the name of the game of what AI brings to the table.
Yeah.
And I would say that we looked in the mirror and we said, are we in fact, and I loved your comment earlier, ask more of your AI. It's not about little incremental step changes. It's about a full fundamental sea change on how you interact with your customer, and read right to left. Don't add a whole bunch of stuff that ultimately gets to that outcome you're looking for. Start there and work your way backwards.
What are you worried about?
It's fourth quarter, so I'm worried about all of that. But no, what I'm worried about is making sure that we have the right governance in place. And I don't want an over-reliance on AI whereby the answer is the answer and there is no other answer. The beauty of AI, in my view, is that it's an iterative, constant learning, contextual tool.
Right.
So what we want our people to do is give them permission to daydream. And I don't use that word, in a kind of a colloquial way, but I want people to come in with a point of view based on contextual information delivered by AI. I want them to trust yet verify. And then if it turns out that what the suggestion was happened to be wrong, then iterate. daydream, think differently, go off and come up with a new idea. Learn how to be a prompt engineer that starts to create really interesting ways of looking at your customer relationship. So what I'm worried about is that people take it as just the gospel right out of the gate, and then that's the only answer. It's one of many answers, and then we want folks to iterate. But that's a journey, and I think all of us are in the very early innings of the AI baseball game, and I think it's going to get better by the day.
Yep.
But our folks need to embrace it.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're at the end of the session, but the one thing I'll leave you all with is, if you got anything out of the session, demand more from your vendors, demand more from your AI. It can do a lot more. I mean, you saw some examples of what it could do, and you heard how our customers are adopting this and how they're thinking about it. Don't settle for little incremental enhancements. That's our exhortation to you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.